Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tale, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, and shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now, let's get into today's tale. My husband's family insisted a wife shouldn't own property, everything goes in his name. When I smirked and said, "That's not how it works," Mimother-Law screamed, "I knew you were after his money." But when my husband Maddie-owned shocking statement, she lost it completely. I'm 38 from Oregon. And Iviga, a story that still makes me shake my head. It's about property pride and amateur-in-law, who thought she could control everything. Spoiler, she couldn't. I met my husband David at a mutual friend's barbecue. In Portland, he was charming, funny, and had this way of making everyone feel at ease. We dated for 2 years. Before tying the knot, I was 34, he was 36. We both had stable jobs. He was in IT, and I was aerial estate agent. Before we got married, he bought a house in my name. It was a fixer-upper in a nice neighborhood, and he powered my heart into renovating it. David moved in after we got married, and everything seemed perfect. David's family was traditional. They believed in clear gender roles and had strong opinions about marriage. His mother, Eleanor, waste matriarch, and made sure everyone knew it. She had a way of making you feel small with just a look from the beginning. Eleanor didn't like me. She thought I was too independent, too spoken, and too focused on my careers. Once told me a woman's place is beside her husband, not ahead of him. I smiled and replied, "Good thing I'm beside him then." One Sunday, we had dinner at Eleanor's house. The whole family was there. David's 2 brothers, their wives, and a few cousins. After dinner, the conversation turned to finances. Eleanor, "So when are you going to put the house in David's name?" "Excuse me, Eleanor. Well, it's only right a wife shouldn't own property. Everything should be in the husband's name." I laughed, thinking she was joking. "Wasn't me. That's not how it works. I bought the house before we got married. It's in my name, millionaire. I knew you were after his money." The room went silent. David looked stunned. Was furious. "Me? I make more money than David. I'm not after his money." Eleanor stood up, pointing her finger at me. "Eleanor, you're trying to emasculate him. This is why women shouldn't be in charge of David." Finally spoke up David. "Mom, stop. This is ridiculous. Eleanor, you're letting her control you." "David, actually, I'm Theon, who insisted she keep the house in her name. It's her investment, her hard work." Eleanor looked like she was about to explode. After that dinner, Eleanor stopped speaking to me. She told David that I was tearing the family apart. David tried to mediate, but it was no use. His brothers and their wives took Eleanor's side, claiming I was disrespectful and ungrateful. I told David I wouldn't stand in the way of his relationship with his family, but I wouldn't tolerate his beck. He agreed. We started spending holidays on our own, creating our own traditions. A year later, David and I decided to buy a second property as a rental investment. We bought it together, 50/50. When Eleanor found out she was livid, she accused me of manipulating David into bad financial decisions. Then came the shocking statement from David. Stat changed everything. David, "Mom, if you can't respect my wife and our decisions, if we can't be part of your life, Eleanor, you're choosing her over your own mother." "David, I'm choosing respect and love over control and manipulation." Elia screamed, "I have no son," and stormed out. It's been 3 years since that day. David and I have built a successful estate portfolio together. We're happier than ever. Eleanor hasn't spoken to us since, and honestly, it's been a rally. Sometimes standing up for yourself means losing people who never truly supported you, and that's okay. Softer. Eleanor cut us off. Life got quiet, too quiet. David acted like it didn't bother him, but I knew it did. You can't just be downed by your mother and feel nothing. Still, we focused on our work, our investments, and each other. For a while, it felt like peace. But peace is never permanent. With people like Eleanor, it started on a Wednesday. I had just gotten home from showing a couple some houses in North Portland. David was still at work. He was in The kitchen making tea when I heard someone knock hard. I looked out the window and there she was. Eleanor in her usual pale pink cardigan, pearls, and the face of someone who'd rehearsed a wall speech in the mirror. I opened the door slowly. Me, Eleanor. Her, we need Tatuk. David won't answer my calls. You've poisoned him. I wanted to slam the door, but something in me said, let her speak, let her hang herself with her own words. So I stepped aside. She walked in like she owned the place. Media teleuking around like she was appraising furniture, not saying a word for a few seconds. Just judging everything her. So this is the house you refuse to put in his name. Me correct? Still mine here, your unbelievable me, and yet here where she turned fast and got right in my face. Her, you've isolated him from his family. He's changed you, filled his head with lies. And now you're dragging Jim into your property schemes. That's when I realized something. This wasn't just a visit. She was scared, not angry, scared. She was losing grip, and she knew it. Medvedev is a grown man. He thinks for himself. Her, you won't get away with these. He crossed my arms. Get away with what? Shouldn't answer. She stormed out, nearly ripping the screen door off its hingastu. Days later, David got a certified letter from his mother's lawyer inside a petition for conservatorship. She wastering to claim David was mentally compromised and that I had exerted undue influence over him, isolating him, controlling him financially. I couldn't breathe when he showed it to me. Is this real, David? Looks like it. She wastering to legally take over his right side. Heard of this happening with elderly people or people with disabilities. But David, a fully functional IT manager. It was laughable but also terrifying. We hired a lawyer. The next day, you'd think his brothers would be on our side. No, both of them submitted statement spurting the conservatorship. One of them even said David had become aggressive and paranoid since marrying. That was a lie so ridiculous. I almost law David is the calmest person I've ever known. They painted me like some gold-digging manipulator said. I alienated David from a good supportive limelight. David was livid. I'd never seen him like that. He didn't yell or throw anything. He just sat down at the table, stared at the floor, and said quietly, David, I don't have a family anymore. Asif, that wasn't enough. Eleanor showed up at my parents' house in person. She sat across from my mother crying crocodile tears, saying, I turned her son against her, and I was too ambitious and unstable. Me. Mom called me afterward. Mom, she is not. Okay. Sweetheart, me, what did she want, Mom? She wanted us to talk you into leaving David. I nearly dropped my phone. She thinks that's how this works. Mom, she's delusional. But that word illusional, it stuck in my head because of more I thought about it. The more I realized Eleanor wasn't just angry, she was unwell. By the time we got to court, Eleanor had compiled a 60-page document full of lies, screenshots of texts out off context, old emails, statements from her church friends claiming I was controlling, and cruel financial charts pulled from who knows where, but our lawyer was ready. He had documentational character witnesses, including gone of David's former bosses, who testified to his competence and mental state. But then came the twist, none of us so. Coming right before the hearing ended, the judge requested a psychological evaluation, not for David, for Eleanor. Her behavior during the trial had raised serious red flags. She started interrupting, crying, hysterically yelling at the judge, and that was when it all shifted. The judge gave you temporary protection from her. She was ordered to stay away from both of you until the next evaluation. Just when we thought it couldn't get worse, our house got broken into. Nothing was stolen, no electronics, no money, not even jewelry bought. Every single picture of David and me together had been ripped in half. Our wedding photo gone, the guest book, from her wedding shredded, and on the living room wall in red spray paint, he belongs. To us, the cops came. They didn't find prints, no cameras caught anything, but when knew, there was no doubt in our minds, and for the first time, I saw fear in David's eyes. After the break-in, David and I stayed in a hotel for 3 nights. I couldn't sleep. Neither could he. The spray painted wall haunted me. He belongs to us, not you us. It wasn't just a threat, it was a warning. We filed a police report. Of course, but unless we had proof it was Eleanor, they couldn't do anything, and Eleanor was smart, or at least sneaky. No cameras, no fingerprints, no obvious way to tie it to her. But then something weird happened. We had a rental house. We just finished renovating. It was our biggest investment yet. 12 bedrooms, 1 bath in the Alberta Arts District, a cozy spot. That would bring in great income. We listed it for rent on off. The applications caught my attention. Single woman, mid-60s, Beatrice Donahue. Credit check, past background Wasclean, but something about her photo, it bugged me. She looked familiar. I stared at the face for a long time. Gray Hyroval glasses. Then I realized this was Eleanor's sister, her arranged sister. Wham. Eleanor hadn't spoken to in over a decade and who lived in Arizona. We declined the application, then next day, we got a voicemail. A disguised voice: "You won't hide him from us. We'll always find our way in." We start tedding. David and I made a timeline. Cal's message visits, every weird board encounter. Like a murder board without a murder thats. When we realized there had been a pattern around every milestone in our relationship, buying a proper tie, celebrating an anniversary, the Cotillon photos posted online, there had been some form of backlash from Eleanor's side. Sometimes subtle, a snide email. Sometimes aggressive. The conservatorship case, this wasn't just about money or family or property. It was control, obsession, shackled and stand. That David had a life that didn't include her at the center of it. A week after turning down the Patricinahu application, I walked out to her mailbox and found something. Inside was a single manila envelope, no address, no postage. Just our names in block letters. I opened it. On the porch inside were copies of David's medical records, mental health notes from years ago, therapy sessions he had after Lasingas, Dad, his college counseling reports. Nothing shameful but deeply personal, things he hadn't even shared with me yet. At the bottom was a handwritten note: "Still think he's of sound mind." I drop Beth envelope like it burned. That night David called his therapist. The next day, the clinic confirmed someone had impersonated David over the phone, claiming to be him to request their courts. It wasn't just stalking anymore, it was identity theft. A few weeks later, Eleanor's sister, the real Beatrice, stitched out she'd seen the fake rental application we declined and knew something was up. Apparently, Eleanor had contacted her asking for her old ID and utility bills, said she needed a favor. Tosavi, the family, Beatrice refused. Instead, she forwarded us a string of MLC liner. Had sent most of them where aren't sporanoid, full of accusations that I was a sorceress, that I had put spells on David, that I was clearly not a woman of God. But then one email chilled me to Theban. She wrote, "I can't have him, then no one can. He belongs to me or no one at all." We took it to our lawyer. That email changed everything, with Beatrice's testimony, the email evidence, and the break-in photos. We went back to court. Judge didn't hesitate. The temporary restraining order was extended for 3 years. Eleanor was banned from contacting either of us directly or indirectly. We thought it would stop her. Didn't. We were selling a differential pretty small home in Beaverton. We held an open house. It was busy. A nice couple made an offer that day, but something was off. One of the visitors, an older woman in a hoodie, lingered a little too long. Didn't give a name, didn't speak much, arrogant. Thought she was casing the Husu. Checked the open house sheet afterward. Shed, signed Mrs. M. Dolores, was Eleanor's maiden name. Ossoff. Now we have security cameras. We don't post anything public. We had to warn the tenants in our rental about Eleanor Spivavir in case she showed up pretending to be a maintenance worker. Or worse, David has nightmares, sometimes heckex. The locks twice before bed. Sometimes I do to our lawyer is building a civil harassment case, but the truth, we don't think she ever released top. This isn't about houses, it's a Buddha woman who believed she owned her son, that I stole him, and that any life where Ash isn't the queen of everything is a threat. It's wild how fast your life can change. One bad letter, one stalker ex-mother-in-law, one false accusation, and suddenly you're sleeping with One open. We were running out of peace, wet treat police. Lawyers, restraining order celibate, but Eleanor, she just kept circling back like a bad storm. That will didn't move on, then came the final straw one morning. David got a letter in the mail. It was from a law firm in Seattle claiming he had been named. In relatives, Wildy said his dear Aunt Loretta, someone David had never even met, left him a small house and about $20,000 in. A trustee was confused. I was skeptical. I looked up the law firm now website. No number, just a P. Oh, box. We brought to our lawyer. He confirmed it was fake. And the address they used for the property, that was ours, the one a leaner. I tried to get into with the fake rental application. This wasn't a prank. This was a setup if David had signed anything. She could have used Ed against him, another proof that he was confessed or incompetent that night. I told David something I never thought. I'd say we need to hit back, not just defend ourselves. We need to end this. We set a trap. We reopened the Renault listing. Same photos, same address, but this time, we added a twist. We listed I tender my cousin's name. Someone. I know that. No. And we used a fake phony number that routed to me within 36 hours. Got a text. Hi, interested in the property. Can we meet the name? L. Grant number, a new burner, not on any carrier. We agreed to meet L. Grant the next day at the property at 300 p. M. Wilso tipped off the police 300 p.m. Kamadavid. And I waited in a parked car down the street. A woman approached the door wearing a wig and a large coat. She looked up at the security camera on Thepperch, then turned her face away till Latesh was on. Film police showed up. Shetry to run, didn't make it far. They arrested her, right? Their charges: violation of restraining order, harassment, stalking, attempted fraud. Anthen. They got a warrant for her house. What they found broke David in a leaner attic. Was a box labeled David inside Wariold photos, his baby clothes. Printed screenshots of our Facebook page, scribbled notes pages, and pages about mesh turned. Him, she took him from me. Our voice poisons him. She must go. But the worst, a diary entry from months ago. I won't let her win. I won't let her keep him. I brought him into this world. I'll take him out. If I must. She'd written out plans. Detailed. One's the kind that sound like fiction, but aren't. She was DM'd, mentally unfit to stand trial, institutional. No prison, no public punishment, just a padded room in Salamander supervision. David was silent 4 weeks after one night. He said, David is gone, but I still feel her. That is thing about psychological damage. It lingers like smoke after a fire. We sold both properties. We moved East Ashland, Kuwait. Peaceful, far enough. I quit real estate, opened a bookshop, something small. Calm. David's in therapy. He's getting bitter. Smiles are coming back slowly. Ephraim, being honest, I made a mistake. 2. I underestimated her. I thought being smartened right would protect us, but people like Eleanor don't fight fair. They didn't stop because you tell them no. Semi-survival means fighting dirty. Should have gone no contact. Years Agonot played nice, not explained ourselves. Let her in thinking reason would work. It never does. Before they took her away, sent one last letter written in red divider, big letters, no punctuation. You'll may have 'em now, but you will never erase me. Maybe that's true, but we died scape. We won't erase her, but we outlived her madness, and that's you know.